Why, hello there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order, the ruin as, well, the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. In the last video, we did some great push against the RK, and we might be on track to liberate things very soon. Before we do that, it's time to check out some lore. Starting with U-SSR. In the newly liberated city of U-SSR, there are plans to rebuild the statues of Taras Shevchenko with iron from melted down tigers. There are plans to rebuild a greenway along Pushkin Boulevard, the multicolored shops and apartments and the ballet theaters on Artemis Street, and the Polytechnic Institute on the corner of Chelyustinskiv Street. There will be no part of Uvinka untouched by the rejuvenation of Ukrainian people and their victory over Nazism. The Donbass Palace is no longer an office for the Gestapo, though what it is will be used for now as a topic of contention. Some citizens would like to finish the dome on the top, others don't. This is the kind of debate that people of U-SSR would like to have every day once the danger is gone and they can live without fear. Their city, they swear, will be a portrait of still living people and their joyous and cheerful recomings. Beautiful. And next, well, that's not updated yet. We get new ones update once it's all conquered, but we might need to own it first. Did we own this one? I think we did own this one at the start, actually. I retract that. I was a little confused for a second, but I think that makes sense. We have to finish all of these first. Okay. Fair. Let's exploit the enthusiasm. While a number of our countrymen do not look back fondly on the era of Bukharin, the advent of the German occupation has driven many young Ukrainians back into the arms of the KPU. Whether it's on the fields or in the factories or in the army, the whole of our nation stands defiant against the Prussian menace. Germany will look on in fear as their old enemy crests the hills in the distance. Young Ukrainians marching in the tunics of grandfathers, rifles in their hands and fury in their hearts. The children of Kiev hold their fist of the sky, grasping the hammer and sickle in their hands as it rises above the Dnieper for all the world to see. Open up gap. Fuck! We can still do a funny. Still have time for a funny, men. Funny's not happening. Oh, but wait. There's more. It was another sunny day with a chilly, calm wind blowing upon Ukraine's soil. Usually, this place near a tiny village a couple of kilometers away from Donetsk had been left alone. Today, however, that was not the case. 5 soldiers have appeared on the horizon, carrying 3 bodies. They were comrades who had fallen in the war this land has seen, with one of them also carrying a cross. The men were in a visible hurry. From what the old trees could understand, the enemy army was preparing for a counterattack on a liberated town nearby. They quickly dug out a big hole, carefully laid their brothers in arms, prayed for their eternal peace, dropped a few tears on the dry ground, placed a cross and left, preparing for the upcoming battles. Since the moment the soldiers left, the grave was left untouched, and their friends rested under the shadow of the mighty oaks. A year later, when another spring came, a boy and girl were going through this place, searching for fallen sticks to play with. Maybe there was something under those big trees. And then they saw something weird, yet beautiful. Something they remembered for a long time. Near the cross, 3 sunflowers grew. They later laid sweets there. Please be funny. Please. Ah, fuck. Okay, that's gonna be a little problematic. Yeah, that's... Okay, in the search for funny... We've entered the issue of impracticality. Okay, I don't want to push against these guys. We'll have to keep a front line against them, of course. But if I don't have to fight the Ukrainians yet, I'd rather not. Republic of Serbia declared. Interesting. We probably don't even have to take Kiev. Hold up. Yeah, we don't even need to take Kiev. We did not need to take them at all. Holy shit. Okay, let's go. Let's go, boys! The Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic has defeated the Reichskommissariat Ukraine as the breadbasket of the Reich bleeds. Seeking to make Ukraine their breadbasket, the Reich created a graveyard. Whew, holy shit, I am going to... Well, I'm not going to say that for TOS. I'm not... If you've seen Hidden Gems, you know the quote. Jubilation. That was the feeling Lyudmila Pavlichenko felt as she advanced down the Kreshnyansk in the heart of liberated Kiev. It was not just that this was her home, that walking down the battered streets transported her back to happy, glittering memories of childhood. No, it was that this was the place she'd been when the Nazis first invaded all those years ago, when they'd interrupted her studies from university. It was the continuing screams of agony coming from the fleeing Hitlerite invaders. It was the feeling of the gun in her hands as she shot back into the back of fleeing fascist invaders and watched them fall into the slurry of snow and mud. She was on top of the Cretans. She was remembering holding her dying husband in her arms. She was watching blood trickle out of the man in front of her. And then, a great whoop of triumph shook her from her stupor. Even with the street littered with bodies and the last of Hitlerites vanishing in the distance, the outcome was clear. They had won. The U-SSR had attained victory. Lyudmila felt a great swell of pride as a figure of two soldiers unlatched an ugly swastika flag and let it fall to a heap on the streets. In its place, they mounted the red, blue, and yellow flag of the revolution. Live Ukraine, a Soviet nation, as a reunited country, forever and ever. We get the new... There we are. Dnipropetrovsk. The curls of brass and blue and yellow make the sunflower fields seem pale. No more white and black and red, brown shirts, bone white on black, gold-rimmed disc with incent symbols of hate, hoists leaning, sable, crosses on or field gray. Dnipropetrovsk is wrapped in Ukrainian colors for the first time in a long time, and its people are caught in reverie-like joy, more vivid and vital than they ever thought could be won. Although Dnipropetrovsk has once again been ravaged by war, its people taken to the task of rebuilding with a sudden sense of energy. They are happy to see tridents over the Dnieper hydroelectric station, even though it is stamped with blast marks. It doesn't matter. They'll build a dam that works for them soon enough. They'll resurrect the old homes and theaters and hospitals, ripping out the roots of Nazism and planting something over, both new and old. The work will never be over. Things will never be the way they would have been. Perhaps the lying can be reversed with free and unmoderated telling of the truth. Brings a tear to my eye. And we gotta. Kiev was once a beautiful city, one which came close to prosperity under the USSR. It used to feel proud of its history. With the arrival of the Wehrmacht of German colonizers, that has changed. They began with the siege, crushing the city with artillery. Then they broke the city. As food grew sparse, it was decided that not all could be fed. Ukrainians starved in the streets of their capital. Then, when the war came to a close, the buildings came back up, now bearing the wounds of Germanization upon the Ukrainian psyche. The history of the nation scrubbed away. Despair has fallen over the city. However, the past seems to have repeated. Once more, cities in Kiev are blown to pieces. Today, the Germans are not the culprits. Well, that's not inspiring. Come on. We still have plentiful grain. It's actually going pretty well. Let's restructure German industry. Actually, let's recruit local councils. Let's get some civilian industry going. The Ukrainian state is about to capitulate, so it's just going to be us versus the Democrats. Or the collabs. But Olga's village had never had too much, not even a name. The closest distinct place was Lukiv, and so everyone simply called a few houses huddled together at the outskirts of Parvit too. But there had been him, a husband, married partially out of love and partially out of necessity. His face was pockmarked and rugged, but there was a strength in his arms, determination to forge a life. Not necessarily a better one, but a life nonetheless. Or so she thought. Ambition lurked deep within the heart, and sometimes it takes others to bring it out. It had only been a few months after the wedding, and Olga was with child. And he had decided, out of some foolish determination, to build a better future for them, that there was room for one more soldier in Ukraine's ranks. There had been no discussion, no argument, simple tears, congratulations from the women, cheers from the men, and then silence. The house went quiet. Only the anxieties in her chest and the occasional stirring of the baby kept her company. There's an old saying in the nameless village that had died a few generations in the past. Destiny works fast, but her absence works faster. He had died almost immediately. His first action in combat, taking a bullet, in utmost heroics, saving one of his comrades. 1 month after the door had closed behind him, it opened again, bringing in a thin wooden casket. A luxury in these times, she was told, and a stiff-faced officer who brought his final pay. A few choked words in the funeral, and that was it. Olga's village had nothing once more. Is this it? Is this what humans are born for? It was about 4 in the morning when Johan heard a twig snap off in the woods, but no more than a few meters away. He hadn't slept in days, and he was regretting it now as he laid on his back, soaked with the freezing dew. He was chilled to the bones with no fire. He couldn't risk the light and smoke. Perhaps there were a few moments where he slipped just below the surface of sleep, experiencing brief dreams of the past few days. The fall of his garrison, the retreat orders, surely mark of a mass surrender. The prison he'd been guarding in flames, his failure to lead the men, instead fleeing when the first statue of Hitler fell to the vengeful bombardment. His mad flight into the forest towards a far-away border that he wasn't even sure existed anymore. And now the logical conclusion. Hushed whispers in the brush behind the cover of the ancient forest. It was as if he was surrounded by angry ghosts. His mind scrambled for any kind of option. As he was no exorcist, he ached too much to move, his ammunition was spent, his throat begged for water, and he had no plan for last week, apart from run. "Who is there?" he croaked in what little of local language he knew. "We got a live one," shouted a voice, although he could not understand its tongue. "An officer, I think." "The one from the fort? I see him," returned another. Johan didn't get a chance to respond before there was a deafening crack and the forest floor turned red. 5 seconds of plain, then oblivion. The Parsons emerged from the wood, 2 men and a woman. The woman knelt down and claimed his Luger with a smile. "Shame we couldn't capture him. I've got a better idea. Anyone have rope? Town's not far. Can make an example of him. Show them what happens to murderers." What do we want to do next? We have quite a couple options. Let's work on an industrial base for war from sand. The real purpose of the arcade of Ukraine was hardly hidden from the naked eye. The disturbing avarice of the Germans saw our countrymen as little more than weeds amidst the prized crops, showing more infatuation with the dirt beneath our feet than for any of the lives that tread upon it. One can assume that this did not engender the Germans towards widespread industrial development in the right breadbasket, given the Nazi regime's preference for preserving a twisted version of Ukraine's traditionally agrarian economy. Any effort to build up local industry must come from our hands alone. A development plan the KPU is more than qualified to begin cultivating. I want to check real quick. These guys' right, okay. And then these guys. The faint hope that Baden held upon seeing the farmstead in the distance had faded the closer he got. There were signs with each closer step of what he would find. When he saw the churned mud of tire tracks, dozens of footprints, the burned fields, and complete lack of life, he probably should have left and saved himself the time. But the choice wasn't his to make, not when his stomach reminded him that he needed food. If there was a chance there was some left, he had to take it. He searched for sheds and silo first, small as they were. There was almost nothing in them, and what remained was useless. Mostly broken farming tools, torn bags, and rotten straw were all that was left. There was a small chicken coop that was also empty, with not a single egg or hen to be found. The home had been forced into, and the doorknob knocked clean off the door as Baden approached. He didn't dwell too long what happened to them. The happiest ending was that they hadn't been home at all. He found the home as ransacked as the sheds had been. Plates smashed on the floor, silverware scattered, chairs overturned, and cabinets ripped open. It was as though a pack of rabid animals had stormed through. Baden searched the home as thoroughly he could in the fading daylight, ignoring the broken picture frames and remaining mementos of whoever had lived there. Apparently lost in frenzy. It was stale, dry, and better than nothing. With it in hand and the sun falling, he turned and quickly left. There was nothing more from here, only another monument of war. I need water. That's a little better. Yeah, I got some spice stuck in my throat for my lunch today. Urema Dobrovic and his battalion, after several days of march on foot, have finally entered the capital of Ukraine, its very heart and soul. Kiev, or however the Nazis called it, Kiev. He has heard of the fierce resistance put up by the remnants of a German garrison, but it seemed now that all their forces were fleeing the city. The helicopter constantly launching at the outskirts of the city and flying away to the west were a good sign of that. Some also said that the remaining soldiers and colonizers were on the run, trying to save their lives at any cost, or surrendering to the unstoppable wave of Ukrainian fury. Just what those son of bitches deserved, thought Urema, for what did they expect after torturing an entire nation for 30 years? Nevertheless, that was not the main thing. Yeah, seeing the Germans rule over Ukraine fall was a pleasure to Urema, but like everyone else, he cared more for his compatriots, not the Nazi oppressors, and oh boy did they treat former partisans as heroes. Flowers, praises, hugs, everything. The people who were under the Reich's jackboot for decades were finally free. No more suffering, no more humiliation, no more deaths. He merely thought of his father. He was also a partisan, fighting for a more just, bright future for everyone. Before a Wehrmacht soldier shot him, of course. He thought of his mother, which he was left to avenge, his dad, and carry on the struggle. Grief was quickly replaced by happiness. With Kiev now free, the war will be over soon. He will see her again, and they'll rejoice at the liberation of Ukraine. For now, he thought he needed to rest, and immediately he saw a gathering of soldiers singing songs just around a corner. He went there without a single doubt. We don't have anything for Odessa, right? Okay. Ah, shoot. Well, let's just we need to get a front line going. I'll go up to speed 5. Ukraine state has fallen. You cannot nurture a man with pain, nor can you feed him with anger. Military district. Yeah, it looks like the military district is going to win there. More likely than not, at least. Can you get an offensive line going? And can we start pushing now? We can. Matsushita. Report. 34, 88, 67, 85. Concerning significant reduction in available food stocks. Inventory level of processed foodstuffs as well as constituent components in the state warehouse and storage facilities have fallen significantly from initial levels. And both current and projected replenishment rates are considered wholly insufficient to offset this decline. Current rationing procedures are sufficient for the maintenance of basic dietary needs among the general population, both military and civilian, but this cannot be expected to remain the case for much longer. Decisions regarding alternative sources of foodstuffs and or more severe rationing procedures are required with haste. Security regarding the food situation has been maintained for the moment, with only needed parties informed as of the situation. However, additional resources are requested in order to maintain information controls. Report ends. That reads like an SCP report. I'm going to go ahead and leave things there. Thanks always for watching, my friends. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you didn't. Leave any comments or feedback down in the comment section below. I read all comments I get, and I appreciate any feedback that you might have for me. Check my various links down in the description box below. You all know the drill by now, I'm sure. Thank you all for watching. My name has been Mr. Doggo333, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now.